this could take a bit of a long route and hurt Lively's case down the road as well.
Blake Lively's attorney, Meryl Gavrnsky, has quit the law firm that she's been working at since at least 2023.
Blake Lively's lawyer just quit after a massive lawsuit update exposed her dragging innocent people into the mess with no proof. Her own legal team called her a narcissist and walked out. The case is dead, her reputation's in flames, and even the judges are done with her circus. You ever seen a legal team quit so fast it looked like they were escaping a burning building? Yeah. Welcome to Blake Lively's latest courtroom disaster. Her own lawyer, Meryl Gavrnsky, officially quit the mess, and honestly, who wouldn't? Representing Blake Lively at this point feels like trying to defend a toddler having a public meltdown in the cereal aisle. You can tell even Gavrnsky woke up one day, probably looked in the mirror, and thought, you know what? I'd rather handle parking ticket disputes than deal with Blake's nonsense. And that's exactly what happened. The real fun started on May 13th. That's the date Blake's whole legal empire collapsed in the most embarrassing, public way possible. Courtroom filings dropping left and right, media stunts backfiring like faulty fireworks, and let's not forget the complete PR disaster that followed. You can't even make this up, Blake, who's supposed to be the savvy Hollywood queen, somehow managed to turn her lawsuit into a full-blown Netflix drama, minus the good ratings. Even the New York Times, which loves to play Blake's little PR sidekick, couldn't save her this time. They spent months pushing her smear campaign story like it was gospel, only to get exposed themselves. Turns out the only thing getting smeared here was Blake's credibility, and let me tell you, there wasn't much left of that to begin with. But you know what really seals the deal? The whispers coming from inside her own legal camp. Her team reportedly started calling her a press-hungry narcissist. And honestly, when your paid legal team starts roasting you behind closed doors, you've officially hit rock bottom. Imagine being so obsessed with your own headlines that your lawyers compare working for you to starring in a low-budget reality show. That's where Blake's at. But of course, Blake doesn't go down alone. Enter Ryan Reynolds, her so-called secret strategist. You'd think the guy would know better than to get his fingerprints all over this train wreck, but nope. Ryan somehow managed to drag himself straight into the disaster. And get this, people are now questioning if he misused shareholder funds, including Disney money, to bankroll Blake's courtroom circus. Yes, you heard that right. While everyone thought Mickey Mouse was off making family movies, apparently Blake and Ryan were busy turning Deadpool into court evidence. Absolute genius moves happening here, folks. And if you thought that was the peak of stupidity, buckle up, because we're just getting started. Let's talk about the Van Zandt lawsuit, or should I say, the Van Zandt scam. Picture this. It's September 27th, 2024. Blake and Ryan's sketchy little shell company, Van Zandt Inc., pops up out of nowhere and files a lawsuit in New York. The lawsuit is filled with anonymous defendants. Yeah, totally normal legal behavior, right? Who needs to know who they're suing when you're Blake Lively and you think the rules don't apply to you? But it gets better. Public records blow the lid off the whole thing. Turns out Van Zandt Inc. is Blake's own shady setup, where she's listed as CEO, secretary, and CFO. Oh, and surprise, surprise, Ryan Reynolds has his fingerprints all over it too. Real power couple goals right there, running a shell company to fuel a courtroom revenge plot. Just 4 days after filing that ridiculous lawsuit, October 1st rolls around. Suddenly, Blake's crew goes after Stephanie Jones, a PR executive, with a subpoena. They want dirt, specifically on Wayfair and Justin Baldoni, because apparently Blake can't let Baldoni breathe without turning it into a legal spectacle. It's like watching someone stalk their ex on social media, but with subpoenas instead of DMs. Embarrassing doesn't even cover it.
Of course, there's an entirely new claim that comes out at some point during this litigation. And so the impacts of this dismissal are therefore going to be much more complete and obvious on the Wayfarer side of things.
And of course, this lawsuit magically disappears just as quickly as it popped up. By December 19th, 2024, the whole thing is withdrawn. Poof, gone. But not before Blake and Ryan's little stunt secured private text messages that just so happened to fuel her retaliation claims. Funny how that works. They play legal hide-and-seek, get what they need, and then vanish like nothing ever happened. Media outlets weren't buying the act, though. They called it exactly what it was, an abusive legal process. Blake turned the court system into her personal playground for revenge, and the entire world saw through it. But here's the part that really shows Blake's legal brain power, or lack thereof, the text message trap. This is the big smoking gun she's been waving around to prove harassment, retaliation, and conspiracy. The only problem? Those messages came from the Vanzen lawsuit stunt, and the way they got them? Straight up sketchy. Jennifer Abel, a former PR associate, came forward accusing Blake's team of basically pirating her phone. Stephanie Jones, the PR exec targeted by the subpoena, allegedly helped Blake's team dig through private phone contents, trashing privacy rights in the process. Imagine being so desperate to win an argument you break privacy laws to get receipts. That's Blake Lively's playbook now. But don't worry, Blake's creativity doesn't stop there. Once they got their hands on the texts, they did what any PR-hungry Hollywood narcissist would do. They stripped the messages of all context, handed them to the New York Times, and turned them into front-page headlines. Suddenly, Blake's weak lawsuit looked like it had legs, all thanks to manipulated messages and media spin. Problem is, real lawyers weren't impressed. They tore the so-called evidence apart. Turns out, there's no actual proof that Wayfair targeted Blake because of her protected complaints. No timeline, no motive, just a bunch of curated texts edited to fit Blake's victim narrative. It's like turning your group chat screenshots into a lawsuit, but forgetting to include the parts where you look unhinged. Classic Blake move. And let's not forget the legal team's growing frustration through all of this. Even they started realizing Blake's entire case was held together with duct tape, social media spin, and a mountain of delusion. Relying on manipulated texts and shady subpoenas isn't exactly how you win in court. But hey, when you're Blake Lively, why bother with actual evidence when you can stage a PR meltdown and call it justice? Blake's case isn't built on facts, it's built on narrative engineering, her favorite buzzwords dressed up as legal claims, propped up by Ryan's failed strategy and a courtroom full of embarrassed lawyers. And now, the cracks are showing. Her lawyer's gone, the PR shield's collapsing, and all that's left is a hollow lawsuit spiraling out of control. Blake's strongest claim, well, at least in her head, is this retaliation nonsense under California's government code. Basically, the law says an employer can't punish you for reporting bad stuff like harassment or misconduct. Seems simple, right? Unless you're Blake Lively, who's turned even that into a circus. First off, let's be real. Experts have been saying California stretches the meaning of employee so far, it snaps like a rubber band. If you so much as glance at a job site in LA, you probably qualify as an employee. And still, even with that generous interpretation, Blake's claim is so weak, it makes expired yogurt look sturdy. Blake's entire argument rests on the claim that she faced workplace harassment from Justin Baldoni. You know, the guy she's been legally stalking for months now. But here's where it completely falls apart. The timeline makes no sense. She's screaming retaliation, but the alleged retaliation? That happened 9 months to a full year after filming Wrapped. You read that right. 1 year later, suddenly everyone's retaliating? Girl, please. By that logic, I stubbed my toe last year, and now my neighbor's mowing the lawn out of revenge. Make it make sense. But of course, Blake being Blake, she drags out the same tired smoking gun texts she got from her little Vanzen stunt, waving them around like they're ironclad proof. Except they're not. The texts, as embarrassing as they are, don't prove Wayfair did anything because of her so-called complaints. No motive, no timeline, no facts, just the usual lively PR spin with a side of manipulation. It's like she's baking a cake without flour, eggs, or logic and expecting everyone to eat it. And now, with Baldoni's defamation claims dismissed and his deadline missed for refiling, Blake's legal position is collapsing faster than her last Deadpool joke in court. Baldoni's not coming back to clean this mess up for her. He missed the deadline, sure, but what that really means is Blake has no one to blame, no one to bounce her weak claims off of, and no backup plan left. Her retaliation claim? Basically gasping for air, and everyone, including her own lawyers, can smell the desperation. But trust me, it only gets worse, because next up is the legendary Sanctions, Smokescreens, and Subpoena Circus, starring Blake Lively herself. Let me paint the picture for you. April 2024, Blake and Ryan decide to flood the court with over 12 motions. That's right, more than a dozen filings, 2 of which are sanctions requests that legal insiders literally described as copy-paste jobs. You know your legal strategies in the dumpster when people are comparing your work to a bad high school essay. And the chaos doesn't stop there. Behind closed doors, court insiders are whispering like it's a high school hallway. They're saying the motions were so flimsy, even law students wouldn't touch them with a 10-foot pole. Blake's entire legal playbook has turned into PR stunts disguised as actual arguments. It's the equivalent of submitting your Instagram captions as evidence and hoping the judge follows you for the aesthetic. But Blake can't stop herself. Her obsession with controlling the narrative has gone from concerning to completely deranged. She's out here demanding gag orders on critics, trying to suppress discovery like it's a scandalous tabloid secret, and let's not forget, she even targeted Taylor Swift's phone records. Yes, Taylor Swift, minding her own billionaire business, gets dragged into Blake's drama parade because Blake can't function without causing public spectacles. Meanwhile, the legal team? Falling apart faster than her case. They're being called mentally fried, scrambling behind the scenes while the filings spiral so far out of control. Even courtroom veterans can't keep up. You know it's bad when insiders are saying your lawyers look like they've aged 10 years in one trial. And then came May 13th. The day everything officially combusted. Brian Freridman's team, probably the only adults left in the room, drops a bombshell letter so brutal it basically hands Blake her ego on a silver platter. They exposed her sanctions push as legally frivolous, emotionally manipulative, and let's be honest, downright pathetic. Imagine being so reckless with your legal filings that the opposing team has to file paperwork explaining how your whole strategy looks like it was brainstormed during a group therapy session. But believe it or not, we've barely scratched the surface of Blake Lively's courtroom delusion, because next, she decided to weaponize Deadpool and Disney. You can't make this up. Blake's legal masterstroke? Slipping in Deadpool and Wolverine movie clips as evidence to prove Baldoni's alleged malice. That's right, her big courtroom argument is literally a Marvel meme. I've seen toddlers build stronger arguments for staying up past bedtime. Meanwhile, Ryan Reynolds is out here facing accusations that he misused Disney shareholder money to fund Blake's personal revenge circus. SEC scrutiny? Yeah, that's knocking on the door, because apparently, dipping into Mickey Mouse's wallet for a PR smear campaign is frowned upon in corporate America. Who knew? The legal filings at this point have spiraled so far into parody, they're submitting SNL jokes and tabloid headlines to the court like it's a BuzzFeed fan quiz. Judges reading these filings probably think they've accidentally wandered into an improv comedy show. Courtrooms are being reduced to meme wars, legal arguments rewritten to sound more boss babe and empowering, because nothing screams solid courtroom strategy like Instagram-worthy captions in your legal documents. Experts have shredded Blake's filings, calling them delusion dipped in desperation. Honestly, that's the best description of her entire legal approach to date. Judges are now warning her antics could get blocked under First Amendment concerns. And let's be real, when your courtroom behavior is threatening constitutional rights, it's time to log off. Blake's legal fantasy has officially hit peak delusion, and the best part? She's still doubling down, still dragging Deadpool into her PR storm, and still turning every filing into a punchline that leaves her legal team more humiliated by the day. If Blake's goal was to trend for being legally unhinged, congratulations, she nailed it. Let's be honest, when it comes to the art of chaotic, narcissistic courtroom disasters, Blake Lively isn't just participating, she's practically directing, producing, and starring in this legal horror show. But make no mistake, she's not the only one tangled in this mess. Enter Ryan Reynolds, Hollywood's golden boy, who's been tiptoeing through this lawsuit pretending like he's not involved, while his fingerprints are smeared all over every shady legal trick they've pulled. His public image? Oh, polished to perfection. Cracking jokes, playing the relatable husband, grinning for cameras. But behind the scenes, it's a whole different story. Legal letters, filings, leaks, they've all exposed the reality. Ryan Reynolds hasn't just been a passive bystander, he's been the shadow puppeteer of this entire operation. There are growing allegations that Reynolds weaponized Wayfair, PR teams, and even his own blockbuster movie marketing to fuel their little vendetta tour against Justin Baldoni. And why not? When you've got Marvel money in your back pocket, apparently you think you can fund defamation wars like it's just another line item in your production budget. Blake's own legal team even hinted that Disney funds, Mickey Mouse's money, might have been quietly diverted to bankroll these legal attacks. I mean, you can't make this up. Imagine sitting in a shareholder meeting, investing in superhero movies, and finding out your money helped pay for Blake's courtroom circus. Turning Marvel's budget into a personal war chest? That's not just reckless, it's genius-level stupidity. And then we get to the infamous Deadpool pool scene. You'd think if your wife was genuinely suffering severe emotional trauma, the last thing you'd do is mock the alleged abuser in a Marvel film watched by millions. But Ryan? Nah. He leaned right into it, practically turning the script into his own petty subtweet. On one hand, Blake's sobbing in legal filings about being emotionally shattered, and on the other, Ryan's cracking jokes on the big screen like the entire situation is some PR skit. The contradiction couldn't be louder if they printed it on billboards. But Ryan's got that smirk, the passive who, me look down to a science. He's been playing the legally distant husband, letting Blake take center stage while quietly fanning the flames behind her. It's calculated, and the public's not blind. Every move deepens the perception that this isn't just a woman scorned, this is a coordinated smear campaign with Hollywood production value and enough ego to fill the Deadpool set twice over. But Blake didn't stop there. If torching her own reputation wasn't enough, she decided to drag innocent people into her dumpster fire of a lawsuit. The collateral damage? Staggering. Her reckless filings slapped names like Jamie Heath, Melissa Nathan, and WME executives onto legal documents with zero solid evidence. Their crime? Breathing near Justin Baldoni, apparently. Blake's legal strategy is as lazy as it is destructive. She's out here using group pleading tactics, the legal equivalent of screaming, "It's all your fault," at a crowded room, and hoping someone takes the blame. No specifics, no actionable claims, just vague accusations painted with a courtroom-sized brush. Professionals with careers, reputations, and nothing to do with her spiral are suddenly staring down legal headaches because Blake can't keep her narrative in check. Even the judges are over it. They've denied her sanctions requests so many times, it's become routine. But Blake? She doubles down, morphing even curable clerical errors into courtroom crises for the sake of drama. Her team wants to turn every typo into a federal case, every filing into a headline, all while ignoring the constitutional violations they're skirting with these antics. When the judges start warning your legal tactics could trample First Amendment rights, maybe, just maybe, it's time to hit pause, but not Blake. The only thing bigger than her lawsuit is her ego. And that ego, it's not just burning bridges, it's setting her entire legal team on fire. Her own lawyers have had enough. Blake's reputation inside her legal camp has deteriorated to the point they're whispering the word narcissist behind closed doors. And when your own attorneys start describing you like a case study in psychological dysfunction, that's not strategy. That's implosion. Michael Gototol, one of Blake's top legal allies, watched his own partners reject his filings, calling them redundant and emotionally driven. Even his own people think this lawsuit's gone off the rails. But instead of pumping the brakes, Blake kept the delusion alive, dragging PR managers like Leslie Sloan into the courtroom, letting them review legal drafts before the actual lawyers did. Court strategy dictated by tabloid experts and Pinterest boards, because nothing screams justice like filing motions designed by someone Googling how to look empowered in court. It gets better. Remember the Taylor Swift subpoena? Oh yeah, Blake's obsession with controlling every narrative reached a new low when she tried to rope in America's sweetheart. The subpoena wasn't just unethical, it was laughable. And it proved beyond doubt that Blake's lawsuit isn't about legal rights or justice, it's manipulation. Plain and simple, dressed up in designer clothes and influencer slogans. By May 2024, her legal team had finally seen enough. They didn't just resign, they escaped, abandoning Blake's courtroom chaos like it was a building on fire. Their dignity? Intact. Blake's? Left somewhere between Deadpool jokes and fake subpoenas. With her team gone, Blake spiraled, left alone to play lawyer, PR manager, and courtroom actress all by herself. She's terrible at all three. And that brings us to the inevitable conclusion. Blake's clown show has officially hit rock bottom. Her lawsuit didn't just weaponize the legal system, it twisted it beyond recognition, turning courtrooms into theaters and judges into unwilling audience members. Revenge, not justice, fueled every motion, every filing, every headline. But now, even her closest allies have walked away, tired of playing extras in her personal rom-com meltdown. The judges? They've seen through the facade. The PR manipulation, narrative engineering, Deadpool gimmicks, and Disney-fueled drama have unraveled like a cheap script. Ryan's once sparkling reputation? Smeared with shareholder scandals and courtroom mockery. Blake's credibility? Shredded, buried under a mountain of Instagram captions disguised as legal arguments. Her once powerful legal machine? Collapsed under the weight of delusion, ego, and embarrassingly bad strategy. And now, Blake stands alone. No lawyers, no valid claims, no defense beyond memes, media spin, and public tantrums. She's facing her harshest role yet, losing. No amount of Taylor Swift name drops, tabloid spin, or Hollywood theatrics can salvage the disaster she orchestrated. Blake's legal circus just crashed and burned. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next celebrity meltdown unraveling in real time.